Imagine being so wealthy that your fortune is bigger than the economies of entire countries. Imagine controlling companies that build rockets, satellites, electric cars, robots, artificial intelligence, and even brain implants. Imagine having enough influence to shape industries, governments, and maybe the future of humanity itself. Now imagine one person doing all of that at the same time. That person is Elon Musk. And according to some analysts, investors, and economists, he could become the first trillionaire in human history. Not a billionaire, a trillionaire. A person worth more than $1 trillion. That number is so large it almost stops making sense. 1 million seconds is about 11 days. 1 billion seconds is about 31 years. 1 trillion seconds is more than 31,000 years. That is not just more money. That is a completely different scale of power. So how could Musk possibly get there? How does someone go from an awkward kid in South Africa to a person some believe could become the richest human who ever lived? The answer starts long before Tesla. Long before SpaceX. Long before the world knew his name. As a child, Musk was obsessed with books. He reportedly spent countless hours reading science fiction. Physics, engineering, history, and anything else he could find. While other kids were outside playing, he was disappearing into worlds built from ideas. Worlds where technology transformed civilization. Worlds where humanity spread beyond Earth. Worlds where impossible things became possible. That matters because Musk never seemed interested in building an ordinary business. He wanted civilization-scale problems. The future of energy. The future of transportation. The future of space exploration. The future of intelligence. Those are not small goals. Most people would dismiss them as fantasy. Musk did not. And that willingness to think on a different scale may be the key to everything that followed. After moving to North America, he entered the early internet era. The web was still young. Most people had no idea how much it would change the world. Musk saw the opportunity immediately. His first major success came through software and online business ventures that eventually led to one of the world's largest online payment systems. When that company was sold, he became extraordinarily wealthy for someone his age. Most people would have stopped there. They would have retired, bought a mansion, and enjoyed the life they had already won. Musk did the opposite. He took nearly everything he had and poured it into companies many experts considered impossible. That decision nearly destroyed him. Because the next chapter of his life involved two bets that looked absurd. The first was SpaceX. The second was Tesla. At the time, private space companies were widely seen as unrealistic. Space exploration belonged to governments. A startup competing in that arena sounded ridiculous. And electric cars? They existed, but most people saw them as slow, impractical, and unattractive. Major automakers were skeptical. Investors were skeptical. The market was skeptical. Musk invested heavily in both. And for a while, it looked like a catastrophic mistake. By 2008, both companies were struggling. Money was disappearing. Launches were failing. The global financial crisis was unfolding. Tesla was in danger. SpaceX was in danger. Musk was in danger. At one point, he was reportedly close to running out of money entirely. Think about that. The man who may one day become the first trillionaire was once close to losing almost everything. That is what makes the story so compelling. People usually see the headlines, the rockets, the billions. What they do not see are the moments when failure seemed certain. The moments when one mistake could have changed everything. SpaceX, in particular, was hanging by a thread. One more failed launch could have ended the company. One more disaster, and the entire vision might have collapsed. But then something changed. Against enormous odds, SpaceX succeeded. Then it succeeded again, and again. Slowly, the impossible became real. The company lowered launch costs. It developed reusable rockets. It won contracts. It changed the economics of space travel. And at the same time, Tesla began changing public perception of electric vehicles. Cars people once dismissed started becoming desirable. Demand rose. Production expanded. Investors took notice. That is when Musk's wealth began to explode. Not because he was collecting enormous salaries. His fortune grew because he owned pieces of companies whose value kept rising. That distinction matters, because billionaires usually do not become billionaires through income. They become billionaires through ownership, through equity, through assets that compound over time. Musk owned large stakes in several companies positioned inside enormous future markets. Electric vehicles, space infrastructure, satellite communications, artificial intelligence, robotics, energy systems. These are not small industries. They are some of the biggest markets on Earth, and maybe someday beyond Earth. Most billionaires build one empire, maybe two. Musk is building several at once, and each one could become one of the most valuable businesses in history. Tesla transformed transportation. SpaceX transformed space travel. Starlink is transforming global internet access. And the next wave of projects may be even bigger. Because if Musk ever becomes the first trillionaire, it probably will not happen because of what he already built. It will happen because of what he is building right now. And the biggest surprise for many people is this. The company that may ultimately create the most value might not even be Tesla. It may be SpaceX. For decades, space was one of the most expensive industries on Earth. Launching a rocket cost enormous amounts of money. A single mission could cost hundreds of millions of dollars. That was simply accepted as the price of going to space. Musk looked at that differently. He saw an industry that was wasting enormous potential. Imagine buying an airplane and throwing it away after one flight. That sounds absurd, yet that was basically how rockets worked for decades. Build it, launch it, discard it, repeat. SpaceX set out to change that. Reusable rockets were the goal. Land them safely. Use them again. Lower costs dramatically. At first, many experts laughed at the idea. Then they watched it happen. The image of rockets returning to Earth and landing vertically looked like science fiction. But it became reality, and the implications were massive. Lower launch costs do not just improve one company. They can create entire industries. Satellites, global internet, space manufacturing, moon missions, Mars colonization, asteroid mining. The economic possibilities are almost impossible to calculate. Some analysts already consider SpaceX one of the most valuable private companies in the world, and some believe its future valuation could eventually exceed several $1 trillion. One company, one industry, one vision. But SpaceX is not just a rocket company anymore. Inside it is another business that may be even larger. Starlink. On the surface, Starlink sounds simple. Internet from space. But the scale is extraordinary. Thousands of satellites orbiting Earth, providing connectivity to remote locations, ships, airplanes, rural communities, and places where traditional infrastructure is too expensive or impossible. The potential customer base is enormous. And unlike many technology businesses, internet access is not a one-time purchase. People need it every month, every year, for decades. Some investors believe Starlink alone could become one of the biggest telecommunications businesses ever created. And if that happens, Musk's ownership stake could be worth hundreds of billions of dollars by itself. But even that may not be the biggest opportunity. Because while the world focuses on Tesla and rockets, another revolution is accelerating. Artificial intelligence. AI has become one of the most important technological races in history. Governments are watching. Corporations are investing billions. Researchers are working around the clock. Many experts compare its rise to electricity or the internet, a technology capable of transforming almost everything. Musk wants a major role in that future, because intelligence creates value. Every company depends on intelligence. Every government depends on intelligence. Every economy depends on intelligence. If artificial intelligence becomes dramatically more capable, its economic impact could be measured in tens of trillions of dollars. Not billions, trillions. That is why so many investors are paying attention. The companies that dominate AI may become the most powerful businesses of the century. And one of the most fascinating parts of Musk's strategy is how his companies connect to one another. Tesla develops AI systems. SpaceX launches satellites. Starlink provides connectivity. Neuralink explores brain technology. Optimus focuses on robotics. Each company is in a different industry, yet all of them point toward a single vision: a future built on advanced technology. Most entrepreneurs spend their lives mastering one market. Musk is operating across several markets that could each become massive. Transportation, artificial intelligence, space, energy, robotics, communications, neuroscience. If even a few of these bets succeed, the financial impact could be historic. And that is what makes the trillionaire discussion so compelling. It is not really about money. It is about scale. The scale of the industries, the scale of the change, the scale of the opportunity. Because becoming the first trillionaire does not happen through ordinary growth. It happens when someone owns large pieces of technologies that reshape civilization itself. And Musk has repeatedly shown a willingness to place enormous bets on the future. Sometimes those bets fail. Sometimes they look reckless. Sometimes they seem impossible. But every once in a while, they change the world. If Musk ever becomes the first trillionaire, it probably will not be because of what made him rich in the past. It will be because of technologies that do not fully exist yet. Technologies that sound futuristic now, but may become ordinary tomorrow. History has a pattern. The biggest fortunes are usually built around the most important technology of an era. During the Industrial Revolution, wealth came from steel, railroads, and manufacturing. During the Information Age, it came from software, computers, and the internet. The next era may be built on something different. Artificial intelligence, robotics, automation, and Musk is investing heavily in all three. One of the clearest examples is Tesla's humanoid robot project, Optimus. Many people dismiss it at first glance. After all, science fiction has promised useful humanoid robots for decades. But Musk sees something much larger. Imagine a machine that can perform physical labor, a machine that can learn, adapt, work continuously, and eventually do many jobs currently done by humans. The potential market would be almost impossible to imagine. Factories, warehouses, construction, healthcare, retail, agriculture, logistics, home assistance, virtually every industry on Earth. The global labor market is worth tens of trillions of dollars annually. If humanoid robots become practical, capturing even a small share of that market could create one of the most valuable businesses in history. That is why some investors believe Optimus may someday become more important than Tesla's cars. A robot could end up worth more than the company that revolutionized electric vehicles. That sounds unbelievable, and yet the scale of the opportunity is real. Then there is Neuralink, a company trying to create direct connections between the human brain and computers. For many people, that sounds like science fiction, but the potential implications are staggering. Imagine restoring movement to paralyzed patients, restoring vision, treating neurological disorders, enhancing communication, expanding human capability. Whether Neuralink succeeds remains uncertain, but if brain-computer interfaces become common, the market could be enormous. Again, Musk is placing bets on industries that may not fully mature for years or even decades. That is what separates his strategy from most business leaders. Most companies focus on existing markets. Musk often focuses on future markets. Markets that do not yet exist. Markets that many people still consider impossible. Sometimes that approach fails spectacularly, but when it works, the rewards can be extraordinary. Consider the combined potential of his ventures. Electric vehicles, autonomous transportation, artificial intelligence, humanoid robotics, satellite communications, space infrastructure, brain-computer interfaces, renewable energy. Each of these industries could be worth trillions of dollars on its own. Now imagine owning major stakes across all of them. That is why the trillionaire question keeps coming up. Not because Musk is simply accumulating money, because he is positioned inside multiple industries that may define the future. Still, there is a reality people often ignore. Becoming a trillionaire is not guaranteed. Not even close. Every one of these industries carries enormous risk. Competition is fierce. Technology can fail. Regulations can change. Economic downturns can hit. Public opinion can shift. History is filled with grand visions that never became real. And Musk's future depends on whether these huge bets actually succeed. Because building revolutionary technology is one thing. Turning it into a lasting business is another. Still, what makes Musk unusual is not just his wealth. It is his willingness to pursue goals most people would call unrealistic. Colonizing Mars, creating autonomous robot workers, building advanced AI systems, connecting brains directly to computers. These are not ordinary business targets. They are civilization-scale ambitions. And if even a fraction of them succeed, the financial consequences could be unlike anything the world has ever seen. So what would it actually mean for one human being to become a trillionaire? $1 trillion is hard to understand. Most people hear the word and think of a billionaire with a larger number beside the name. But the difference is far greater than that. Imagine earning $100,000 every day. Not every year, every day, without missing a single day. It would still take more than 27,000 years to accumulate $1 trillion. That is the scale. If Musk ever reaches that milestone, it will not just be a personal achievement. It would be a turning point in human history. Because no individual has ever accumulated that level of economic influence, the implications would be enormous. Not just financially, politically, technologically, socially. In some cases, the value of Musk's companies could exceed the economies of medium-sized countries. Think about that. A private organization creating more economic value than millions of people combined. That is why the debate around extreme wealth has become so intense. Supporters argue that entrepreneurs like Musk create immense value. Electric vehicles, satellite internet, space technology, artificial intelligence, jobs, innovation, entire industries. They believe great wealth is simply the reflection of great impact. Critics see something else. They argue that no individual should possess that much economic power. No matter how innovative they are, no matter how successful, the conversation becomes less about money and more about influence. Because wealth at that scale is leverage, the ability to shape the future. And maybe that is what makes Elon Musk so fascinating. Love him or hate him, few people remain indifferent. Some see a visionary, others see controversy. Some see humanity's greatest innovator, others see dangerous concentration of power. But one thing is undeniable. Very few individuals have influenced so many future-facing industries at once. Cars, artificial intelligence, space exploration, robotics, internet infrastructure, energy systems, brain-computer interfaces. Most entrepreneurs spend their careers changing one industry. Musk is trying to change civilization itself. And that is exactly why the trillionaire conversation exists. Not because he already has $1 trillion, but because he is building inside industries that could become the largest markets humanity has ever created. The future of transportation, the future of labor, the future of intelligence, the future of space, the future of human-machine interaction. If these industries grow as fast as some experts predict, the value created could be unprecedented. But there is another possibility that often gets overlooked. What if becoming a trillionaire eventually stops mattering? Throughout history, wealth has been measured against scarcity. Scarcity of resources, scarcity of labor, scarcity of technology. But many of the technologies Musk is backing are designed to reduce scarcity itself. Artificial intelligence could dramatically increase productivity. Robotics could transform labor. Automation could lower costs. Advanced energy systems could reshape entire economies. In a world of abundance, traditional ideas of wealth may change. The future may not be defined by who owns the most money. It may be defined by who controls the most important technologies. And that is a very different game. Because the race to become the first trillionaire is ultimately not just about dollars. It is about ownership of the future. Ownership of the systems billions of people may rely on every day. The companies, the infrastructure, the intelligence, the platforms, the technologies that define civilization. Whether Elon Musk becomes the first trillionaire or not, one thing seems clear. The next decade may create economic changes larger than anything humanity has ever experienced. Artificial intelligence, humanoid robots, autonomous transportation, space industries, brain-computer interfaces. These technologies are not science fiction anymore. They're being built right now. And the people building them may become wealthier than any individuals in history. But maybe the most important question is not whether Elon Musk will become a trillionaire. Maybe the real question is this: if one person eventually controls wealth measured in trillions, what does that say about the future of humanity? Will it be a sign of extraordinary innovation? Or a warning about how much power can concentrate in one set of hands? Because the story of the first trillionaire is not really a story about money. It is a story about the future. And the future is being built right now. So, will Elon Musk become the world's first trillionaire? Or will someone else get there first? Tell us what you think.